Hello everyone. So in the next part of the video, I'll walk you guys through on how to add Navbar. So let's look at our Figma design. And in our Figma design right here, we are able to see this particular navbar. And this particular navbar is just to kind of simple by the way, where it just has a logo with a text and there is an icon, shopping bag icon, together with its counter. And this is quite easy. And we just need to take note on what exactly this particular font is being used. As you can see on my right hand side, you're able to see this particular font is being used. It's called Urbanist. This is a basic of web development where we should always be paying attention to the fonts used. So as you know, Urbanist is not actually pre-installed in React. So we need to be using Google Font API to make use of this particular font. And that's what exactly we'll be doing. And also in my right hand side right here, we happen to have this particular icon. So we need to be installing React icons at the same time to have this particular icon to be shown in the navbar. So let's get started. And in our code right here, we're going to be having another new component, which is going to be called navbar. So that's what I need to be creating. So I need to go to this particular app folder right here. I need to create a new folder called components. And inside here is where I like to place navbar. So in this case, I create a new file called navbar. And it's going to be a TSX file. And inside here, I like to place, first of all, I like to have like the functional component. In this case, I like to say RAFCE. And it's just by selecting the first option right here, you're able to find this particular React functional component will be generated. And this one is actually a part of an extension. You can just go to this particular extension and look for ES7. And there you go. ES7 is basically a part of React extension for React. So it's like more like a built-in integration with, it's just like a simple way where we're able to have all this React's boilerplate templates. So that's why I've used ES7. That's why I was able to also add this particular boilerplate functional component just by typing RAFCE. So this is one of the best extension that we should be having. Now let's make this particular navbar to be available to be exported. So in this case, I must be using index file. So I need to create a new index file called index.ts, and in which I need to be importing and exporting the components. So in the first case, I have to add import navbar from navbar, and also I need to be exporting it right below here. Just by saying export, and open curly braces, type navbar. And here you are able to have this particular navbar to be exported. Right now, I like to have this navbar to be having inside our, as you can see here, not inside our page.tsx, but layout.tsx, by the way. And layout is where we are able to place the body right here. And on top of body is where we'll be placing that particular navbar. Below body is where I place footer. So in this case, I just like to focus mostly on having this particular navbar at this particular part. So in this case, just I type navbar and you need to close this particular component, and then you're able to find your navbar will be automatically imported at the top right here. Now let's actually look at our website. So just to see what happens in our website when we make some changes. Now in our browser, we happen to find some errors here. So don't worry, this is basically because when you click on this, it's because of we have only placed div dot inside that particular functional component. So what we shall do is that we can just go to layouts right here and we can just remove this HTML, just remove everything, and of course we just need to be having this children to be placed right here. And there you go. Right now we are able to have this particular navbar along with the children right here. So in this case, the children is just going to be having this particular page, by the way. So whatever you place within this page is where you are able to have your children. So as you can see right here, let's go to navbar back. So we check our website right here and just refresh it. And now we are able to solve that particular issue. And the next thing is that we can actually start creating that particular navbar. So if we check our browser right here, you're able to find your navbar seats at the top right here and the children seats at the bottom right here. So we can just go to this particular navbar right here and we can actually start adding this particular class name. Let me just remove that particular navbar, and I like to add class name to be the ones that actually wraps the entire navbar. So the first skill I have to add here is that I like to have this particular navbar to span fully the entire screen. So in this case, I have to add width dash full, and this will just span the entire screen with this particular navbar. And of course, next thing is, since I've already given width, I must be giving height. So in this case, I have to have like a custom height, which is going to be around like 80 pixels. That should do. And besides that, I'll just scale it to add the background colors. In this case, I have to add bg-white. And next thing is, I also like to see what else can I add. By the way, I would also like to add like some border, just for reference only. In this case, I say border dash bottom, and we're able to find something that looks like this. Yeah, as you can see right here in our browser, we are able to find this particular border. This is the entire navbar, by the way. And inside here, where we're going to be placing the logo and the image. So first of all, you need to be having container. That container is where it's going to be having a maximum width of 1024 pixels. So in this case, I'm going to add another new div. And inside this div is where I can place a class name. And the class name is going to be, first of all, let me add max width. And this max width is going to be a custom max width of 1024 pixels like this. And this should be placed in the center. So margin auto, that should do. And of course, the next thing is itself, I need to add that logo within this particular container. So in this case, I have to add like a simple text. So in this case, I have to add just like an H1 like this, which says shop. And in this case, let's check our browser. And there you go. As you can see here, this particular logo actually placed at the top right here, but I wanted to place it at the center. So in this case, I must be having some more class name to make them to be placed at the center. So where is this particular border? Where this particular content is located. So in this case, I have to say border, just like this border. And if I check my browser right here, this particular border is not actually spanning the entire space. So we must be adding some height before we actually place them in the center. And we must be adding this height right after making them placing in the center. So of this particular container. So this container should be having full width like this, and of course full height like this. So hw-full, h-full will be having them. Yeah, we can find them. They'll be expanding the entire space like this, the entire room that we have provided. Next thing is that we can actually make them. Yeah, now we're able to make this particular logo to be placed in the center by saying items-center. And not just items center, we must be having display equals to flex, and this we can just say flex. As you can see, once we refresh the page, we are able to have this particular shop to be placed in the center right here. And not just that, we can also add the icons, the icon that can be found in the design right here. And this particular icon can also be found from React icons. So as you can see, we can just go to React icons, and we can just use any of these particular icons that we are able to find from here. First of all, of course, we need to be installing React-icons. So let me copy this, go to VS Code, and just gonna make another terminal just to install React icons. So let me install this first. Now, once you have already installed the React icon, and we are able to have it in our package.json as well. Now, right now, we can just directly go to import section right here and just import that particular icon. So of course, we need to be looking for that particular icon. So in this case, let's type shopping, just to see, just like type shopping. So as you can see here, these are the shopping cart icons. We can actually just choose anything that looks like that particular design that we have seen. So in that case, I like to go with this particular FI shopping bag right here, and you're able to find copied FI shopping bag. And we can just directly go to VS Code, and we can just import it at the top right here. And of course, we must be having a curly braces like this, and just place it inside here. And this is basically coming from React icons icons like this. And of course, we need to be specifying from which particular icon style is it coming from. As you can see, this FI is actually from a particular library of React icons. So we must put like a slash followed by FI like this. So just need to copy whatever you find at the first two characters right here before the name of this particular icon. The next thing is that we can just directly copy this, and we just paste it right after this particular logo. We can just place it like a component like this, and just close it like this. And let's check our browser. And in our browser right here, we happen to have this small logo of shopping cart right here. We need to be placing it on our right hand side right here. So we have already happened to have this particular flex right here. So I would like to make use of this particular flex, and of course I need to be making sure to have justify between, so that they actually placed far from each other. So then I have another new justify content styling properties, which says justify between. And by having this, we can actually have these two icons be placed separately like this. And not just that, we can actually happen to have another, it's like a specific number for this particular counter, where we need to be placing this particular number on top of the icon. So this particular icon right here should be wrapped within a div like this. And of course, I need to be placing this particular div inside here. Just let me copy this and paste it inside here. Of course, I need to be giving them some indentation. Next, right here is where I like to have that particular red color circle. And inside that particular red color circle, I'd like to place a number. So first of all, I like to have a span tag like this. And inside the span tag, I like to place like a number which says 0 for now. And inside this particular span, I like to add class name first. And this particular circle should be placed on top of this particular icon. So we must be using position equals to absolute for this particular red color circle. So in that case, I just like to say absolute. And of course, since this is absolute, we must make sure that entire div should be having another class name, and that should be having a position for relative, just like this. And once you're able to have that, you're able to place this particular value 0 right here on top of this particular shopping bag. Now, if I check our browser right here, you're able to find your numbers actually placed at the bottom here. So we must make sure to place it on top of this particular icon. So first of all, I have to increase the size of the icons first. So this particular icon should be having like a text. So text, we can just say a specific size for this particular text, and the text could be around ranging from 25 pixels around there, like this. And there you go, particular icon, the size is just enough. And I like to place this 0 on top of this particular icon. So I need to go to this particular class name of this particular span tag that we have created. And first of all, I have to add top equals to 0. And by having that, you're able to find this particular 0 will be placed on top of here. And of course, not just that. And of course, yeah, this 0 should be a bit more smaller than it's supposed to be. So in this case, I have to add the size of this particular span tag. So this should be like 12 pixels, should do. And if you find it, you're able to find that the 0 should be a bit more smaller than it's supposed to be. Or left right here, I'll have to place it on my top right. So how should I do that? And of course, I have to add like a right, like this should be right, and just need to be placing the custom value. And in this scale, I have to add around like -5 pixels, so it actually goes not on this particular left hand side, but it should be right hand side like this. And of course, I can actually give the background color for this particular 0. So I'm gonna say bg-red-500 like this, and this will give a red color background, and also the width and the height for this particular span tag also. So in this case, I have to give width dash a custom value, so around like 18 pixels, and also the height should be the same, 18 pixels as well, just like this. And of course, since it's a circle, I'll give rounded, and not just rounded, by the way, it has to be the maximum rounded so that it looks circle. And by having this, you're able to find your circle will be having, your particular circle should be having like this, by the way. And not just that, this particular 0 should be placed in the center of the circle, and that's why we should place text dash center. And by having that, we can actually see this particular 0 will be placed in the center, just like this. And besides that, we can also give this particular 0 to be a different color than it is. So I like to say text dash white, and this will give a white color for the 0 like this. And next thing is that you can actually make this particular 0 to become a bit more bold. So in this case, I have to add font dash bold like this, and there you go. This is how your counter should look like. And the next thing is that we can actually give this particular font right here some custom font so that it actually aligns with the design right here. So as you can see here, we need to be using a custom font called Urbanist. So Urbanist, it can be found from Google Fonts. So just go to Google Fonts, go here and just look for Urbanist. And there you go. Just need to be clicking on this. And right now, what you can do here is I just need to be selecting all the ones from this particular font style. And this case, I like to go from select thin, and just like to avoid italic because we won't be needing it. So in this case, I like to select everything that's coming from here which is not italic. Just select everything, all the font styles and the size and the thickness like this. Yeah, just all the way to the bottom. And there you go. We have selected all the ones that are not italic. And let's go to this particular font family that we have selected at the bottom, at the top right here. So click on this. You're able to find these are the fonts that we have selected, which are actually under Urbanist. All of them actually under Urbanist, by the way. And we need to go to this particular import section where we're able to get this particular import and copy this particular import section. And whatever you have that's placed within this style tag right here, just need to be copying this and go to our code. And in our code right here, we need to be going to globals.css. And as you can see, there's already been some predefined styling here, which we won't be needing them. So I can just like remove them for now, just like this. And inside here, I need to be placing this particular import of a font at the top, most top right here, and then only it works, or else it won't work. And just like this. And of course, we need to be adding this particular custom font that we have actually got it inside our Tailwind config.js file as well. And that way we are able to call this particular font. So inside this extend, and right after this particular background image here, or you can just remove background image. You won't be needing background image. We can just add like font family. And so here is going to be an object of font family. And that particular font is where we can actually and we can just type in the name of the font that we would like to have. In this case, I called Urbanist. So Urbanist is the name of the font. And besides that, we should also be importing the actual name of the font, which is also Urbanist. So in this case, it's going to be a capitalized name. So it says Urbanist, which also happens to be sans serif font. And just like this, you're able to have this particular font dash Urbanist can be used in our project. So you just need to copy this font, this Urbanist name like this, and we can just go to our navbar right here, and inside this particular logo right here, we can actually add a class name, and in which we can type font dash Urbanist, just like this. And if you go to our project right here, just you refresh the page, and you can find that, and we have already imported that particular font right here. See, as you can see, the font has been changed, and we just need to give some font weight and some size for this particular font right here. So in this case, I'd go to the particular navbar, and in this case, I'd add the font size right here. In this case, I'd give font dash black. So this will actually increase the thickness of this particular font. So just by saying font dash black, and this will eventually make the font to become a bit more thicker. And of course the size, and in this case I have to add text dash 2xl. That should be perfectly fine. And there you go, we've just added a simple logo right here. And we can also make this particular navbar to be a bit more responsive. Let's check whether is it even responsive. And we can just give this particular project a test. As you can see here, when we reduce the size, you can actually find this is a bit responsive right here. Or we can just improve this particular navbar to be having some spacing. Like as you can see right here, I like to have some spacing at my left hand side right here, and of course some spacing on my right hand side right here. So let's add actually some responsive stylings, and in which we can just go to our navbar right here, and we can just add right after this particular container styling, which is this one. We can add a smaller maximum width for smaller size screen, and this one should only come for medium size screen. So in this case, I have to add MD. So MD is meant for medium size screen and above. And let's say if I just make this the same thing and just copy and paste it right here, but just change the value to 600, and this will make this particular maximum width to be smaller. And we can also give some padding x-axis around like 4, and that will eventually add some spacing on the x-axis. So as you can see right here, there's some spacing has been given, but I want the spacing only when it's actually for small size screen. So in this case, I can actually add like another styling properties for MD. In that case, we can just see px should be 0. This particular padding of x-axis will only happen for small size screen. As you can see here, when we just increase the width of this particular navbar, we can actually find there's no px for medium size screens and above. And the next thing I would also like to add is that, as you can see right here, this particular containers styling properties is actually a super long line, and we can't just use the same styling properties like as in like this particular manner, what we can do is that we can actually store this particular styling properties in globals.css, which is right here. And we can just call it anytime where we would like to reuse the same styling properties. And in this case, I'd like to add another new class name inside this particular globals.css. It says container. And inside here, I need to be making use of alias apply like this. And this will eventually render any Tailwind CSS styling properties. And of course, I just need to be copying whatever that can be found for container. So I like to find everything that's inside this particular container, which is whatever that's meant for the spacing and the width of the maximum width of the particular container. So all the way up to margin auto, we just need to be taking this out and we can just place it inside the container. And in this case, we can just take the name of this particular container, copy this, and we can just paste it inside the container right here. And this will eventually will transfer the styling properties that's coming from globals.css. We just transfer it right here. And let's check our browser. And there you go. It just works the same way. And we can also make use of other styling properties. As you can see here, this particular styling properties for this particular circle, red color circle right here, is actually too long. We can just take this entire styling properties for this particular red color circle, which is just basically the counter. In this case, I can just take everything like this and we can just have it inside our globals.css. And I'm going to call it cart item quantity. And in this case, I like to have the same way. So I like to have alias apply. And I like to paste all the styling properties which I've just copied. And in this case, I just have to take the name of this particular cart item quantity and place it inside this particular class name. And this will eventually create this particular, let me just refresh the page. And this will just keep that particular styling properties coming from globals to be here as well. And besides that, we can also have this particular cart group, which is going to be the icon. So I like to just take whatever I find it right inside here. Just like to copy this and I like to go to this particular globals.css file. I like to add cart icon. And inside here, I like to paste that particular styling properties of Tailwind. Of course, we must be calling it apply followed by this particular relative text. And of course, don't forget to take this particular name and just paste it inside this particular class name. And that should do. And we can also take this particular font, this particular logo that we have just created. And we can just copy everything that's coming from this particular logo. Take this and go to our globals.css. And right after this container, just going to say logo. And in this case, I have to add apply. And paste those particular styling properties. And of course, just get this particular name and paste it inside right here. And this will actually make your code to be far more neat and better looking. And we can also have the other sections as well. As you can see right here, we also happen to have all this other styling properties, for example, right here and here, which we can actually do as well. And besides that, of course, this particular logo should be a clickable. And when we click on this particular logo, it should be going to the home page. So I like to make, instead of just it's an H1 tag right here, I like to have a link. I have to make use of link component. So just by having, instead of H1 right here, type link. Of course, you need to be importing the link from Next like this. And of course, since obviously it's a link right here, we must be having href as well. And this href should be just directing to the home page like this. And this will just be, as you can see right here, when you refresh the page, this particular cursor will just go to redirected to the home page like this. It does not do anywhere because it just goes to the home page. And next thing is that this particular icon should be also a clickable button. So I like to place, instead of div right here, I also like to add like button in this case. So instead of div right here, just like to take button, replace it with button, just like this. And you will be able to find your cart icon should be having like a cursor becomes a pointer. Let's just remove the unwanted borders because we won't be needing any of this. So this is just for reference, by the way, and also here and here. And that should do. And there you go. And let's not forget that we should apply the font to all the components right here. As you can see here, this particular font is not the Urbanist font. And also this particular 0 right here is not the Urbanist font as well. So we need to be adding this particular font, which is Urbanist, to the entire project. So by doing that, we have access to this font in entire project. So we must be having like an asterisk So inside this asterisk is where we can actually place styling, whatever, for the entire page, for the entire project. So by having apply font dash urbanist, we can actually have them to be for the entire project, right? Like this. And there you go. You're able to find, yeah, even this 0 has become the font type. The text right here has also became urbanist, by the way. And there you go. This is one way we're able to have this particular styling properties for the entire page. So now we have already done the navbar.